Today we are going to be talking about authenticity. Good morning, loves. Happy Wednesday. It is another beautiful day full of endless possibilities, and I am excited for today. I had a couple rough mornings where I was just out of my flow, but today I'm feeling it come back. And all of the excitement from all the adjustments and kids going back to school is feeling like it's finally reached its peak. We're coming back down, we're going to settle in. I don't know about all of you who have kids in the Kennewick School District, but having the teachers on strike for the first week did kind of add some excitement, some busy energy. So I'm happy to feel that kind of coming down a little bit. I am, feeling the mommy blues just a touch. Having my babies back at school, I missed them terribly yesterday. It was a lot quieter, which is nice, but I miss them. I miss them so much. But I will adjust. We will get through this, right? Oh my gosh, my mic is really in the way. I'm gonna touch that just a little bit. Okay, sorry if that was really loud on your end. So today we are going to be talking about authenticity. And this, again, I seem to always pick these, but this is a really big topic, and I am going to share some of my thoughts on authenticity briefly. There's so much more. I've written about authenticity a lot. And if you want to read some of that, you can go to my website at unravelingwithrayne.com. It's in my blog section. So feel free to do that. But today I'm just going to take a lot of that and try to condense it down. And also, I would love to hear who are some of your favorite authors or maybe psychologists, or who do you take direction from when it comes to exploring authenticity? Because it is really vital for us to explore that within ourselves, and a lot of us don't even really know that we haven't explored it as fully as we could. I was one of those people just a couple years ago. Like, I had no idea that there was so much of me underneath what I thought was me. So it's kind of intimidating, it's a little scary, but it's really cool, and you are sometimes pleasantly surprised, and sometimes not so pleasantly surprised about, your authentic self. So, this morning, I did not forget to grab myself coffee before we sat down. Thanks for joining me this morning. Grab your coffee, continue getting ready, eat that bowl of cereal, whatever it is you're doing this morning. I'm happy that you're here. All right, so authenticity. So how do we start exploring our authenticity? And these are the ways that I have learned as far as starting the venture into finding your authenticity. So I found that being exposed to new things is really a big key, because what I've noticed that that's done for me is it has taken me outside of my comfort zone, and so I respond more naturally, or in a way that I'm not already programmed to respond to situations, so I get to learn a lot about myself and my authentic self in those situations. And the key thing is you have to also allow that to happen. And how do we allow that to happen? Well, that brings me to the next one. We have to practice being aware of ourselves. Self-awareness is kind of a tricky one to gauge, because a lot of people feel like they are very much aware of themselves, when they might not be as aware as they thought they were. And so a really good way to explore this a little bit more and how aware you are of yourself is to talk to the people around you. Ask them questions about yourself and get their input on what they observe, and pick people that you really trust, and just let them know that you are just looking for some clarity and some honest thoughts, so that way you can help move yourself forward and hone in on your authentic self. You don't want to ask people that you're not going to trust, because they're not going to give you appropriate answers. So yeah, pick people that you trust, that have always been honest with you, that have always been people that you can rely on. So building your self-awareness, and then using that to observe yourself in new situations, and not just situations, but people, new activities, also exposing yourself to more creative outlets will help you get a peek behind what you think you are, and it will start to show you what's all underneath there. And then another really big thing that I use a lot is self-reflection. I I sometimes reflect too much. There is a balance. Um, but if we are taking the time to assess ourselves and how we interact with the world around us and with the people around us, and really try to better understand what that means for us and our journey, and to the people around us, and how we want that to shift, or if that's really in alignment with what we're feeling. And that's another big thing, is you have to be aware of your emotions. Emotions are these things that ebb and flow. They are really heightened, and then they will dull out. And so it's important not to put all of your stock in your emotions, but they are a pretty good guidance system. Of course, you're always responsible for how you react when your emotions are heightened. However, just feeling them and knowing that they're there, and using that as a tool to bring awareness to yourself, and then take that into your reflection process, it's really, really beneficial. So be aware of your emotions, use that for reflection, expose yourself to new environments, new creative outlets, new people, new places. Observe yourself in those new places, and you're going to start to learn a lot about yourself and who you are and what you like and what you don't like. And that's the thing, we need to be brutally honest with ourselves during this process in what we don't like and what we do like, so that way we can make adjustments appropriately. And this journey will not end, like, unless you become like completely enlightened and you are somebody who's up on a hill just meditating until the end. Like, you'll constantly be learning new things about yourself, and how you interact with your environment and your world. It's never ending, and I think it's really, really important to keep that in the back of our mind, because we are really coming on to this big wave of people realizing how important it is to know who you are and to find your authenticity. And I've seen it listed in, like, how to move forward in life. Well, find your authentic self. Step number one. And I'm just like, that's like step number one. That's also incorporated in step number two. That's also incorporated in step number three and number four and number five. And it will always be this thing that's ever evolving and always exposing itself to you. And the thing about authenticity is you just have to embrace it and move with it. It's flowing. It's oh man, the words are escaping me. But this part of the journey will never end. It will keep going, and you will keep learning new things about yourself, because you're going to keep living, and you're going to keep seeing new things and experiencing new things. And those are beautiful opportunities to learn about yourself and who you are, and in your authenticity. So a couple things that I want to note here from one of my favorite people that talks about authenticity is Brene Brown. She's like, warrior queen of authenticity to me. She has this way of articulating it so beautifully and so real and so raw, and so I love that about her. So a couple things that was pulled from the writing that she's done is that one of the first ways that you can allow yourself to start exploring your authenticity is you have to let go of shame. Shame will hold you back from your authentic self like you would not believe. And that's not a small task either. And I see that listed in a lot of things, like, oh, you need to let go of shame. And then they're like, okay, we're moving on. I'm just like, ooh, but that one is tucked in a lot of different pockets. Like, it likes to hide in these little, like, folds of your brain. And then you experience something, and you're just like, oh shit, that was, oh, look at all that shame there. Ugh, I didn't even know. Like, it just pops up out of nowhere. It's crazy. But, so shame, just like finding your authentic self, will be one of those things that is pretty ongoing. And you'll notice that as you wrestle with shame, the amount of it will start to decrease. So when it does pop up and expose itself, it's not so jarring. Sometimes it is, but not as often. That's what I'm experiencing. Is it's not as often, and also once you know what it is, and you've defined that for yourself, like, oh, I see, I feel this way when something is attached to shame within me. And so I know how to address that and I know how to explore that. Therapy is really great for learning tools on how to engage with shame and how to move forward from shame. So shame will hold you back. So that's one thing that you gotta explore it, and it it'll be tough, just like most of these things, but it'll be so worth it. I promise you. I promise, promise, promise. Okay, so shame, yes, we'll get that one. Got it. And then authenticity doesn't mean doesn't equal mean. Like, just because you are expressing yourself authentically does not give you the right to do so in an aggressive or mean way. You can be firm, you can be direct, you can be factual, you can do all those things, but because you say that you are being authentic does not give you a license to just be a bee. You gotta be able to handle yourself in all situations. And obviously, we're not all gonna do it perfect all the time. Like, it happens. But then we also have to own up to that. We have to go back. We need to talk to that person or place or whatever it is and address that. So authenticity does not give you that license to just be mean and nasty with people just because you feel like that's your authentic self. That's not really how authenticity works. Authenticity thrives with really great boundaries. And this is another thing that I have learned a lot from when reading Brene Brown's work. All of her stuff, everything that I read from her has this concept of boundaries. You have to hold your boundaries. If you do not, then people will take advantage of you, they will walk all over you, and there's no way that you can exude your authenticity if somebody's, trampling over your boundaries, because there's no space for you anymore. There's no space for your authenticity, and you have to build it with strong boundaries. Boundaries are beautiful, beautiful thing. And then another thing she talks about is how perfectionism and compromise threaten your authenticity. Because when we get stuck in perfectionism, we don't allow ourselves to explore further, or we don't do anything at all. We just sit on things, and then there's no way for us to be able to explore that authenticity because we're afraid to move. We're afraid to do anything for fear that it might not be perfect. And nothing's perfect. And that's something I have to tell myself all the time. Rayne, nothing is perfect. It's just not going to be. So, yes, and compromise. Those two things really, really threaten authenticity. So just keep that in the back of your mind as you're exploring your authentic self. And then this one, I love this one so much because I see that it is incredibly true. Authenticity is the key to compassion. It it is. The more authentic you can be and the more you know about yourself, the more compassion you can give freely without resentment, without judgment, without um, just hanging on to like, well, I'm doing this for you. Like when you know who you are and you can stand in who you are, you make decisions that support that. And so when you are compassionate with people, you're going to do it naturally because it's something in because you've built the space for yourself with these beautiful boundaries and you've let go of all of this shame, so you're not making choices out of shame. And when you do make a choice, it is more in alignment with your authentic self. Therefore, the compassion just freely flows from you. It's so beautiful. It is the most beautiful feeling, let me tell you. So those were some key things that Brene Brown talks about on shame. You can go find her books. She's got a website. Go to YouTube. Just search Brene Brown. You will find so many talks. She's got her TED Talks. I mean, it's you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. I promise. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up because I've got kiddos to get off to school. I hope that you guys have a great Wednesday. And again, thanks for sitting with me, chatting with me. And I'd love to know who your authenticity gurus are so that way I can explore their thinking as well. And I hope that you guys have a great day. Ta ta.